Folks, what's up? It's Pete Thorn. Hey, on all those guitar parts on the song at the beginning of the video, you heard this, the Z-Rec module from Dr. Z and Synergy. I had it plugged into my Syn 2 preamp chassis back here, running into the Syn 5050 power amp, going into my old Marshall cab in the other room, mic'd up with a 57 and a Soyuz 1973 condenser microphone. So the Z-Rec amplifier, which is what this module is based on, was a collaboration between Brad Paisley and Dr. Z. And at some point during the development of this amplifier, Dr. Z sent it off to Ken Fisher of Trainwreck Amplifiers fame. Ken worked a little magic on it, sent it back to Dr. Z. Sadly, of course, Ken passed away at the end of 2006. So the amplifier was then built, kind of a prototype thing, really. I mean, it was just a one-off. It was sent off to Brad Paisley, and Brad ended up pressing it into service on recordings and, live shows and stuff like that, and really dug it. Now, in 2010, there was the big Nashville flood, and there was one particular, I think, storage facility in Nashville where a lot of major players stored all their equipment, and Brad sadly lost all of his touring equipment in that flood. So Dr. Z set about quickly making a couple of Z-Rec amplifiers for Brad, so he had a couple of amps to tour with. And it was during that time that he realized these amps are really awesome, and maybe we should try and make them available to the public. So the Z-Rec was introduced. I've never actually played an original one. I've always wanted to because I'm a fan of Ken's. And, I love Comet amplifiers. I love the Trainwrecks. I've played a number of old Trainwrecks. I have a Comet Concorde. I mean, they're just terrific sounding amplifiers. And it's kind of all about their touch response and the feel and, the sort of the tactile sort of feel under the fingers, essentially, and the way that they respond to different guitars and different pickups. As you heard on the track at the beginning of the video, I mean, the thing is pretty awesome sounding. I love it. I'm a big fan of Vox tones, and I think this is largely based off of kind of an AC30 style circuit, just with some tweaks. One thing that's going on in this module that's different than every other Synergy module, and I think it's kind of a game changer, is there's an actual phase inverter style circuit built in. That means like a power amp style circuit built into the module. So for those that don't know, like a phase inverter is a major part of a power amp, of an amplifier. And in Voxes and old Marshalls, that phase inverter getting driven is a huge part of the sound. Turning down a post-phase inverter master volume that's been added to, say, an old Marshall Plexi, so much of the tone is preserved. And just, it's only at kind of like the nether regions, the top regions of that master volume, that you can kind of hear the power tubes start to collapse and the voltage and stuff start to sag. But really, it's like a major component of the tone of those amplifiers, Voxes and Marshall Plexis, is the phase inverter tube getting driven. So this Synergy module actually has that circuit built in, and you can really hear it. I mean, it's got a certain character, a certain compression, that driven amp feel where it's like that sort of squish and that sag and stuff that happens. This thing really kind of captures that in a preamp module. So I'm going to play a little bit more through it and show you some more of the tones. I'm going to turn the knobs. I mean, I want to show you how the EQ kind of works, like a classic Vox EQ, which is unique. Also, the cut control. There's a switch here that's labeled speed and comfort, just like the original amplifier. I want to show you what that does. It's very, very subtle. So let's get on with it. It is the Dr. Z Z-Rec module from Synergy and Dr. Z. So I've long been inspired by Vox sort of tones. That, is it dirty, is it clean, or right on the edge of breakup, a little bit of compression and all that. One of my favorites was this Bryan Adams. You know that song from the 80s? It was like a duet with Tina Turner. And obviously the way that I've got this set right now kind of does that sound awesome, I think. I mean, I'm not referencing the record or anything, but, it just sounds great. The Voxy, on the edge of breakup, a little bit of compression, is it dirty, is it clean thing. So the way I've got it set right now, the gain is on about half. And the speed and comfort switch I've got set in the comfort position. Now, this switch, it's very, very, very subtle. I noticed just a little bit of difference with it. It's a little more bold in the speed position and just a little softer in the comfort position. I've got the EQ bass down on about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. Treble's just a little past noon. And like on a Vox, you turn the treble up, and past noon there starts to be some clarity come in, but you also seem to lose a little bit of fullness and gain, where maybe the fullest sounds are with, you know, everything on 4, kind of the bass and the treble. So I'm going to change that in a minute. You'll hear what I'm talking about. The cut control I then have on about 3/4 of the way up. It works backwards from on a Vox style amp. So in other words, when it's up, it's the brightest, and when it's down, it's the lowest. The Vox is the other way around. When it's down, it's actually the brightest. As you turn it up, it cuts high end. Then I'm running the master just on about, well, not very high actually. I've got it on 3 or 4. Now, the interesting thing with these modules is this is the first one they've done that's got a sort of quasi-phase inverter built in. So as you're driving that gain up, basically driving a real Vox, like into distortion. That's my tone that I had for the tune. I just love it. It sounds really, really cool. That kind of sound, that's what I was going for with this guitar part, that type of thing. So let's start changing some controls now. Let me go to my bridge pickup on the guitar in parallel. And then I'm going to turn the gain up to about 1 o'clock. Now 2 o'clock. Boy, does that ever sound good. For that kind of sound, it's really cool. I like it a lot. I'm going to flip the switch now that says speed and comfort. In the speedier setting, speed, it's just a little bolder and a little more punch, seems like to me. That's what I'm hearing anyway. Let me play with the tone controls now so you can hear what they're doing. You notice when I turn the treble down, it seems like the gain goes up, just like on a Vox. You know, turn it up, you get more clarity and more of that sparkle and stuff, and it just thins out. I don't know if it's gain, but it just like thins out a little bit, and it sounds like less is getting pushed. Right? Like it scoops out, gets a little thinner, and less sort of apparent meat in the tone. Let's play with the cut control now. Definitely, you know, darker when I've got it 3/4 of the way down. And then kind of, you know, wide open, it's brighter and got more sparkle. So that's with the gain about 3/4 of the way up, and it's just a great sound. That's basically the gain, just about maxed and with my bridge humbucker. So I just did a solo, and for this basically I'm on the channel 2, gain cranked all the way, the bass is on 5. I got the treble down a little below half because of the sort of perceived added fatness and gain you get when you do that on an EQ like this. A little bit of the cut engage. I've got the switch setting in the speed position, speed comfort. And basically it sounds like this. You almost get an interval that's in tune when you bend down a whole step on the D and the B if you play that. Tucked in the track, it works. It's just that great kind of stringy, compressed, you know, rootsy style, like enough gain for lead for a solo like this, especially if you had a humbucker. I mean, I'm using single coils. I wanted to show you what it sounds like with absolutely no boost. Would I add a boost? Maybe, to this sound if I was doing it on a recording. I might add like a little bit of Tube Screamer or Klon or something like that to just give me a little bit more, you know, so that I'm not working quite so hard. But it still sounds great, and it's just a really, really cool sound. Thanks for watching my video on the Dr. Z Z-Rec module coming to you from Synergy and Dr. Z. This thing has a special character to it. I mean, that new phase inverter style circuit that they've got built into the module, they're really onto something. Just the kind of tactile sensation under the fingers and the compression characteristic and stuff, it really sounds like a cranked non-master volume amp. You can check it out further at that link in the video description below. Click down there, it'll take you to more info about the Dr. Z Z-Rec module. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the little bell beside the subscribe. You'll get an alert every time I put out new videos. Come back and see me real soon. I am Pete Thorn. Take care. See ya.